Take two, and welcome back to Showcase Live. I'm Dave Shellbetter, and we are broadcasting from the 2019 DeLand Sport Aviation Showcase. I'm here with my partner in crime, Mike Daniels, who's also my co-team leader. He's behind the camera. I'm in front of the camera, and I'm still trying to figure out how that happened, but hey, I'm here. You know me, I got a face for radio. Anyhow, welcome back. We have been, we came back to do take two. I called it take two because we had a little audio issue yesterday, so I decided to come back and talk with my friend Sebastien again, because Sebastien is one of our favorite interviews to do. Mr. Sebastien Heintz, how are you, brother?
Doing great. Just happy to be here. Even though it's a little bit cold out here, we're loving the time out here in Central Florida and meeting with people, showing them what we're doing in terms of building airplanes and so forth. So loving it.
Now, you've been a part of Showcase from the beginning, and you're not just here showing off your airplane. You're here with the whole build. I can come in and work on building an aircraft. Tell me about what build part you're doing here.
Well, we've been doing the rudder section for the airplane, let me back up a little bit. We're a kit aircraft manufacturer, so my product is my kit. It's not a finished airplane. We don't deliver finished airplanes. Of course, we deliver kits that become these beautiful finished airplanes. So I always like to show people what it is that they would be buying, and then, of course, you'd have to put it together. So I always like to really show people that, more about the product rather than the finished flying airplane. So what we've been doing here, we started out on Thursday morning. We put together the fuselage for the CH-750 Super Duty, and we can kind of see it back here, the finished fuselage assembly. And we built that with, we were probably 15 folks just helping out, putting it together and learning about how things are built. And
wait a second now. You're telling me that Thursday morning, this was a pile of parts, and you guys actually assembled all of this on Thursday?
Thursday morning, pretty much. We were done in about 4 hours, and it was great to see. We had about, like I say, we had about 15 folks get involved, and that's really to show the new kit, the way that it's supplied, and that's basically, it's all final hole size, match drilled, cleco together, and rivet. Now this section here, it hasn't been riveted together yet. All we did is cleco it together, so it's just pre-assembled. It's not a finished assembly, but again, it's just to give folks a really good idea of how easy and how quick all this is to put together. And then on Friday morning, yesterday morning, we started the rudder build class, and that's a rudder section. It's a vertical tail section of the airplane, and we've been doing that for many, many years. At the factory, we started doing them at the shows probably for 4 or 5 years ago, is to give folks an opportunity to, at the show right here, to learn about building an airplane. And, for most folks, they really have no real idea what is it to build a kit airplane. Or is it a crazy prospect? What are the skills? What are the tools? And so what better way than actually come out here and spend a bit of time doing it. And over the years too, the kits have become a lot easier to build. Again, talking about the pre-drilled, final hole size, match drilled. So it's a great opportunity for us to show folks about building and flying their own airplane that way.
And now you're saying this is the CH-750. This is a STOL version of this, or is every 750 a STOL?
Good question. No, we have the STOL CH-750, and then we also have the CH-750 Super Duty. Super Duty, and I'm sorry, the CH-750 Cruiser, which is a cruiser version of the Super Duty. Is also a STOL airplane. It's just a higher gross weight, and then the standard STOL CH-750. So we have different variations of the same airplane.
And now these are experimental amateur built aircraft. Are they falling under the LSA, or are they falling under the experimental built category?
And good question. They all fall under the experimental amateur build because they are being built by amateurs. Basically, it's a kit-built airplane. Okay. The STOL CH-750 and the Cruiser both meet the LSA requirements, so they can also be flown by a sport pilot. The Super Duty, because it has higher gross weight, it does not meet the requirements of or the definition of a light sport aircraft, so you need a regular private pilot license. And no, that's not the 801. The 801's a 4-seat airplane. The Super Duty, we've got the rear jump seat in it, but it's just a jump seat. We're not calling it a 3-seater even, because it's more of an add-on seat. Again, you can fit 3 people in it, but because it's really not designed for that, in terms of the actual size and even comfort level. It's great for kids, for a big dog. Even
I was going to say, so to be able to put a dog bed back there.
You'd be surprised how many customers that it becomes important for them to be able to take their dog flying with them.
We see more and more people flying with dogs. I love it.
Absolutely. And so sometimes it's a couple that have their dog for the back seat. Sometimes it's just one guy who wants to fly with his dog next to him. So I think it's neat. And I've got some great videos of guys flying with their dogs, and the dogs, especially with the bubble window, you can actually see, and the dogs looking around, and just neat stuff.
Now, this is, we were talking about ELSA, the experimental light sport aircraft, versus the certificate, or not certificated, but the experimental aircraft, experimental amateur built. There's different categories for our non-aviation viewers. The Sport Pilot Certificate came out with the light sport aircraft category of aircraft, but you guys have been around way before LSA came out. When did the company start? Your father started the company, right?
Exactly. My dad started doing this, he started doing this in the late 60s. Officially formed the company 1974 in Toronto, Canada. And then I kind of grew up doing around airplanes, and then I went to business school and decided coming out of business school that I love the business, but I also saw that there was really room for expansion out of Canada into the United States. So we formed Zenith Aircraft Company in 1992, 28 years ago nearly, I guess.
Wow.
In Mexico, Missouri, central Missouri, and the reason we chose Missouri, it's just center of the country. We're not far south, we're not east, west, we're just smack in the middle of the country. And we've been there again for 28 years. I've been building kits right there. And we focus pretty much strictly on kit aircraft manufacturing. We don't produce factory finished airplanes, but we really develop the kits for the do-it-yourself market. So over the years, we really continue to improve on the quality of the kit, the completeness of the kit, the instructions, and so forth. Again, we do workshops at the factory nearly once a month for folks to come out to the factory, learn about building, because again, I've learned a long time ago, a kit airplane is not something that's sold. It's something that customers learn about. It's a buying process. When a customer starts looking at potentially building an airplane to the time they actually start doing it, there's often several years that go by. They need the time to do it, they need the place to do it, they need the finances to do it. It's a whole coordination, if you will. And so we work with folks in the educational side of it, again, so that when they start an airplane, they really know what they're getting into, because it's a big model project, and so it becomes part of your life.
Now let me ask you, one of the things you mentioned was a place to do it. I'm going to build my own airplane. Do I have to have a hangar from the second that I start riveting my first two pieces together?
Absolutely not, because and that's the thing, you're not building an airplane, you're building a left wing, you're building a right wing, you're building an elevator, you're building a rudder. So you're building all these different components. Basically, all you need is one workbench, 10 by 4 feet workbench. So, a single car garage gives you all the space you need to build the airplane. Only toward the very end, you need to go out to the airport, bring it out. When you put it all together, get the engine on there, avionics, and so forth. As it really at that point, it becomes an airplane, but you build section at a time, and it's really well set up, especially with the metal construction like that. It's really modular, so you're doing one section at a time, and that's why too. There's no real right sequence even to build it. You can start on the tail and then do the wings, start on the fuselage and then do the tail. Because each section has to exist independent of the other. So
you can do it, like you said, there's no real sequence to build it. You could build your wing, then your elevator, then the other wing, then the rudder, or you can start with the fuselage, which, kind of be silly if you're limited on space. You wouldn't want to start with your biggest piece. Right. You'd start with your smallest.
And that's why we usually do the tail sections and the wings first, because they're easier to get out of the way. You can hang them and put them against the wall, hang them from the ceiling, that type of thing. The fuselage is going to take up a bit more real estate in your shop, and then you want to put it on the gear and start sitting in it, pretending you're flying. So,
making airplane noises. Mike's over there nodding his head. Yeah, I'm giving a thumbs up. Been there, done that. Mike sat in his airplane and made airplane noises before it was done.
The first time you sit in your airplane, that's kind of that's something. It's a memorable moment. It's a photo op, because you're actually sitting in what you built. Before that, it's just a bunch of parts. So it's definitely a milestone when you get the chance to first sit in your airplane.
Now, and we've been talking mostly about the 750 here and putting that together, but that's not the only thing you make. You don't just make the high wing, and we pan over to the left there, you can see the different models there in front of the fuselage. Shows the Sky, and the Sky Jeep. I love that name. What made you call it the Sky Jeep?
Well, it's actually not even our name for it. It's just our customers have started using that term, and so we're now starting to to put it in some of our literature and so forth. But it's a Stoll CH750 or 701, and it's not even a specific model of ours because again it covers the different things. But yeah, our customers just start calling them Sky Jeeps because it's and I think the reasoning behind it is that it's a form follows function look. Oftentimes I'll get these airplanes, they'll be called ugly airplanes, and and of course it's like our children. You never find your own child ugly, but the reason, quite frankly, it's a form follows function side, and there's really two elements of the form follows function side. It's the simplicity of building, which makes it relatively crude, if you will, 4 square size. But what is easier to build on a fuselage when you got 4 flat sides, and so you just box it together, and so that kind of dictates the shape of it. And then you've got the aerodynamic side of it as well. The utility function. We want a design that does extremely well for short takeoff and so forth. So it ends up kind of this utility look. Again, you look at the history on the Jeep. A Jeep was developed for function. It wasn't developed to be a pretty car or a pretty vehicle. It's kind of an ugly thing, but then we Jeeps, everybody loves a Jeep, because it's truly the form follows function. The hinges are on the outside of the vehicle, and on our airplanes, again, we try to keep everything simple and functional, so it becomes an endearing thing at the same time.
And simple and functional also makes it easier for the first-time builder to put together. Now, we had started down the road about the 7 Series, the 701, the 750, but then you've got a poster hanging here in the middle. That's a low wing. That's altogether different. What model is that?
That's a CH650, and my dad started out designing low wing airplanes. It was only later on that he decided to also do a high wing version, and that became even more popular than the low wing. But low wing airplanes have been around for a long time. A low wing airplane generally is a little bit more efficient than a high wing in the sense that there's no strut bracing on it, so it's always typically going to be a faster airplane. Visibility is, you've got equally great visibility. It's a bubble canopy on top, so again, spectacular 360 degree visibility. So it tends to be more of a airport version, if you will, cross-country capable airplane, and for most people that's still one of the main reasons they fly is to have a cross-country machine. Although I often consider our business is not transportation; it's more sport.
Right.
It's kind of like a motorcycle or a convertible car. You can go wherever you want that you can with a regular car, but the reason you have it is to enjoy the elements, to enjoy the trip, the journey. And for most of us pilots, that's why we have these light airplanes. So rather than trying to accentuate the speed and getting to your destination, we accentuate the enjoyment, the open air feel, the enjoyment. So visibility becomes very important. That's why we put bubble doors on the high wing so that you can really maximize the visibility and the enjoyment of the ride.
And okay, so you're saying your aircraft only comes in a kit form. You don't sell prefabricated finished aircraft. I'm kind of, as you're talking, I'm reading over your banners here on the wall, and I'm seeing quick build kit now available. Tell me the difference between the basic aircraft kit and the quick build kit.
Okay, that's pretty simple from our standpoint. The standard kit supplies all the parts and pieces that you need to put together, but no assembly has been done. With the quick build kit, we take some of those same parts and we start putting them together for you at the factory. Our standard quick build kit is a fuselage assembly. We take the fuselage and put it together for you. And the fuselage is typically one of the more difficult or more time-consuming areas on the project, because that's where everything kind of comes together. You've got the control system in the fuselage. This is where the engine gets mounted on, the fuel system, coordinates through. So it's just a little bit more involved than the other sections on the airplane. And so we find that by offering a quick build kit with basically the fuselage pre-assembled, a lot of builders can save quite a bit of time doing that, and then they're also ready to start on their engine and avionics installation as well. So we offer that as a quick build kit for those that, again, we always say that for those that have more money than they have time, it's because, a lot of these things, it's a time or money situation. A lot of us that have money don't have the time to build, and those that have the time don't have the money to build. So it's always the challenge to find that. And so, we focus a lot on just trying to keep things as affordable, yet also quick to build.
Now, and you're building this yourself, and so it's considered to be an experimental, whether it's LSA or amateur built, experimental. One of the things is the 51% rule, that you have to do 51% of the work yourself, and you document everything as you're going. Is the quick build kit still fit in the 51% rule?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we take some of the hours out of it, but there's still a lot to do. So there's no problem at all with that. And when our kit meets the 51%, but it's actually quite a bit less than 51, so it gives us more leeway to do things like quick builds.
Okay. Now, you're buying a kit, basically you're buying a firewall back kit. So you don't have, and by that, you still get the cowlings and everything, but that depends on what engine you're putting in. Mm-hmm. What engine options are available for your airplanes?
Well, there are really a lot of choices. We go out of our way to design airplanes not around a specific engine, because we're not the builder of the airplane; it's the individual that's putting it together. And then also, we have new engines that come on the market, or some that stop being available. So we really try not to do anything around a specific engine, but try to do it available for what the customer wants to put in. So in terms of choices, I'll name a few. You've got Rotax, of course. You've got Lycoming, Continental engines. You've got the conversions like the Viking Honda-based conversion, Corvair conversions, UL Power engines, Jabiru engines, just a lot of different choices. And pretty much all of them are supported fully for the Zeniths. The Zeniths are pretty popular out there, so there's a lot of builders. And a lot of builders, want to have slightly different requirements. I always hesitate, recommending a specific engine or even saying that one engine is better than the other engine, because it really, each one has its inherent advantages and disadvantages. There's no point, talking up a $30,000 engine for somebody that can only afford to put a $15,000 engine, because there are, you can really put an engine that's going to work for your needed application, even with that's going to cost significantly less. So there really are a lot of good choices.
Right, so you got a multitude. Now, a lot of aircraft, a lot of the kit aircraft and the experimental aircraft, they are pretty dedicated to specific engines. Right. So it's really good that you're allowing people to do that. But now you did mention money, so let's talk about where does your kit from a regular, not the fast build kit, but just a regular kit, firewall back. What am I gonna pull out of my pocket to buy a kit?
Well, you're looking at about $20,000 to $25,000 for a complete kit, and again, that's firewall back, like you say. And when we say firewall back, like you say, yeah, it's no engine, no avionics as well, because that's on the panel side. No paint, no upholstery, which is why when I say the kit cost is $20,000 to $25,000, and that is the cost for that. Your total project cost typically is going to be 3 times that. And so 1/3 of the cost is generally the kit, basically what you would pay to Zenith and get everything in one big box. Another 1/3 of your cost generally will be for a new engine, and that could be a Rotax, UL Power, or Continental, anything like that. And then the other 1/3 of your cost is going to be the avionics, paint, and everything else. Yeah, right. So, which is why, if you're looking at a $20,000 kit, you expect to have about a $60,000 project. And of course, that said, and especially being amateur build experimental, there are a lot of variations within that. Again, if you want to spend $10,000 in an engine, you can find stuff out there. Finding a used Continental or Lycoming engine, you can often find those under $10,000. If you rebuild your own Corvair conversion, you can do those oftentimes for under $10,000. So it's just a lot of different choices that way. Or you can spend $40,000 for a brand new engine firewall forward installation too. So there are a lot of choices there.
Great. And so we've covered the models and what's involved. Now, one of the things I'm going to touch on kind of quickly here, we don't want to go into too much depth on it. One of the comments you made earlier on was the exact size holes. I know early on your kits would come with pilot holes.
Right.
And a big part of the job was riveting, clecoing, using your temporary rivets and putting and drilling out all of your holes. But now your kits are exact size?
Yeah, our latest model is like that. The Stoll CH750 Super Duty kit is pretty much entirely final hole size match drilled. And, like you mentioned, it sounds on the one hand, it sounds like we just did a little step forward in terms of...
That's huge.
But it's huge in terms of the time. The skill-wise, it's not difficult to drill a hole from pilot hole size to final hole size. But you're taking out 2 entire steps, which is, again, drilling it out and then taking it apart, deburring it, and putting it back together again. So it really is pretty huge. You can actually cleco something and rivet it together. So that really becomes a big, big time saver. And also really simplifies the instructions as well, in the sense that when everything is final hole size match drill, it can only fit one space. You barely need instructions anymore. The parts will only fit in one area. So you line it up, cleco, and rivet. It really goes that quickly together. It was interesting here. We did 6 different rudder builds. Yesterday started, and the Super Duty, which was final hole size match drilled, was done in 4.5 hours, and it's actually the biggest rudder because we've got the most rivets and so forth. The other ones all took about twice that long. So
yeah, you are saving a huge amount of time for your builders in doing that. Now, so I'm going to order my kit and I'm going to get it into my garage, and I get to a point now I'm having trouble. Am I gonna hear crickets, or I reach out because I'm having some trouble? How are you guys on that end?
Oh, well, we've been in this business for, 25 years. We know that service and support is an integral part of the product, if you will. It's not, it's when we deliver a kit, our relationship starts with the customer there at that point, and it goes on for years and years. And so we're dedicated to doing service and support directly from the factory. We always got a phone call away, text or email, all that stuff. We also have a great existing support network with the existing builders out there. We have literally thousands of these projects out there, hundreds of them actively being worked on, and being part of the home built kit aircraft community. It really is a community of people that are building an airplane because they're passionate about it. They love to share that information. So usually there's existing builders in your immediate area that you can network with and pick their brains in terms of helping answer questions, how to share tools and so forth. So there really is a great network. And of course, again, I always encourage people, if you have questions, pick up the phone, call the factory.
Okay. Now we've been here. We've been showing around inside the tent, but sitting just outside is one of you. We're showing you a fuselage underway and pictures of the airplane. We're gonna kind of wander a little bit here, and Mike's gonna follow us out. Now, as we're walking out, let me ask you: you guys are, if you're not the most popular, one of the most popular of the experimental aircraft, build it yourself, amateur built aircraft. How many Zeniths are there out there purchased versus flying?
That's a good question. I don't have the exact numbers, but it's about 3,500 that are probably in the air that are out there flying, and we've sold more than that in kits, but a lot of them are still actively being worked on. So, nowadays most of them get done sooner or later. So it's always nice to see that. And I think we are the number one brand of light sport aircraft. And the reason for that is again, we're not a huge factory. Again, we are kit manufacturers. So we produce these airplanes that builders build themselves. Mm-hmm. And then again, we were a light sport manufacturer before there was a light sport category, because a lot of these designs just meet the definition of it. Right. So a lot of our customers that started out as private pilots can now continue to fly these airplanes as sport pilots without a third class medical, which is kind of a nice thing. So it's really made the ownership experience better, if you will, because these guys can continue to fly their airplanes.
So now, in the background here, we've got a 750, and I folks, I'm not that up on my airplanes. There's a sign over there that identifies it as a 750. But what I'm noticing is there's a for sale sign in the window. Tell me about this bird.
This is a private individual. That's actually the right here. We have Robert and Jan. They own this particular airplane. They flew it down from. Well, come on over, Robert.
Come on over, Robert. Talk to us. I'll just sell your airplane here. Come on over. Robert, Dave Shellbetter. Nice to meet you. And you are Robert?
Nicholas.
Nice to meet you. And you are?
Jan Nicholas.
Hi, Jan Nicholas. So tell me about your airplane.
The plane's 7 years old. I built it in my garage. It has a Jabiru engine. It's got 380 some hours on it. Wonderful airplane. We love it. Why do I want to sell it? Because
that was my next question.
because Mama said, you want to build another one, you have to sell this one. Because I got to be quite honest.
He likes the building.
As much as I like to fly, I really like to build almost more than I like to fly. And we've made so many social friends in my hangar that I got plenty of planes I can fly in or fly during the time it takes to build the next airplane. So I just miss the building, and I get here and I think, well, let's see what happens. It's basically a conversation starter, if nothing else. If I don't sell it, I'm perfectly happy.
Yeah.
If I would sell it, I'm even more happy.
Well, and if you don't sell it, you're perfectly happy. But if you do sell it, Mama's happy, so that's what counts. Everybody's happy, exactly.
As long as I don't bring any aluminum slivers into the house, and that's why the match hole construction is so nice, because no, not as much deburring.
Now, and of course, the all important question is, what am I going to have to pay you to fly this airplane out of here? For me to fly this airplane out. What are you asking for the airplane?
I got it priced at $65,000.
So really, that's from what Sebastien said, a $20,000 kit being a third of the cost. You're selling the airplane off for what it would cost me to build my own, basically. But this is a gorgeous aircraft. I love your paint scheme.
You've got to understand, I've got so much. This is multi-deluxe. It's got this little puddle jumper has autopilot. Not because I need autopilot, except for the fact that if you ever get into IFR conditions accidentally, which can happen like today, you just push the button and there's a wing leveler.
Yeah.
The wing leveler. Wow. I mean, and there's also a button that's labeled 180, which will get you back out of it. You push the button and just take your hands off, and it takes you out of trouble. So, and if you have to read your map or your radio stops working, it did a month or so ago.
Bells and whistles,
you push the button; it gives you time to work on your problem. So, and it's also ADS-B already compliant, and it's got a lot of deluxe features. It's got a glass panel, and it's got all the good stuff that you want, but that costs money. It's also got a quite expensive paint job. It's not a rattle can paint job. It's Imron paint, and it's very expensive to put Imron paint on an airplane.
Yep.
So.
Well, it's a beautiful bird. We wish you the best of the luck in selling her, and thank you very much for jumping in and talking with us. We appreciate it. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you. And then over here now we've got another one, and she's actually got Sky Jeep on her wing. We were laughing about that earlier. And now, which one is this?
So this is a Stoll CH-701, and that's kind of our original Stoll airplane. It's a little bit smaller than the CH-750 series, but it continues to be real popular with our customers. And this is a beautiful rendition of a 701. In this one, it's kind of on steroids. It's got a big 130 horsepower engine.
Wow!
And
Super 701.
Yeah, Super 701. And actually, John Humbert right over here. He's the builder on that airplane. Come on over,
talk to us, John.
And I'll
John, Dave Shellbetter. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And I'll let John take over a little bit, talk about his particular airplane, because that's just a beautiful. And if you look at the detail on this airplane, it's just a gorgeous airplane.
Not to jump in here, but I have to. Were you flying it in the demo yesterday? Because Jana was asking who was flying it. Jana, this is him. She's watching now.
Good deal. I had
All
a
right,
lot
so-
of fun.
Let's say you got a UL 350 IS engine and your Super 701. Tell me about your Sky Jeep. I'm seeing some things that I don't normally see, and that's, the first thing that jumps out at me is the nose looks a little different. What's under that?
It's very different. Of course, the UL 350 IS is 130 horsepower. It's UL power, fuel injected, direct drive, no gearbox, any of that kind of stuff. The cow is completely custom. I built it from scratch, so it's a little bit unique and oddball, but it's
pretty though.
I thought it wound up fitting pretty well.
And then I'm seeing a couple of locking hatches back there. You got a storage access, or what is that?
It goes right back into the rear baggage area just behind the seat, so it's accessible from inside the cabin or from the outside without having to lean through. The guy that makes these, you can find him on mykidaircraft.com. He has all kinds of access panels, different shapes, sizes, you name it. He's got all kinds of different things for them.
And I'm seeing some strobes out here in the wings. Is that that normal, or is that something you added in?
Well, this one's not capable, so I have landing lights on both sides, strobes, nav lights, all that type of stuff. So it is fully not capable.
Mm-hmm. And what's that between the struts up by the way?
That is my 360. I'll extend it out for you if you want, or Sebastien can. There, just unhook it and. It's about
some of your pictures.
Right. It's the mount for my 360
Mike is drooling.
Camera. There you go.
So you actually got
the photos look amazing.
Yeah, it's
from
good.
That, man.
You've got a camera mount permanently attached to your aircraft.
Camera mounts
Yes.
like this, and it records truly 360 degrees. It's amazing.
360.
360-degree photos in flight and everything else. Wow, that's a gorgeous. Now, and one of the questions I actually neglected to ask Sebastien was your average kit. What are you looking at build time on your average? Your guy wants just to build the basic kit?
As we all know, there's no average out.
Right.
Nobody is average. But, the airframe itself, when I say the airframe, that's the wings, fuselage, tail. The metal work, it's about 350 hours that if you just focus on the metal work getting it done. Of course, anytime you modify things and everything else, it's gonna change dramatically from that. Now, of course, that's just the airframe. Now, putting the engine, putting the avionics, if you're doing the paint yourself and so forth, it just adds time from there. There's the old adage, 90% done, 90%
to go.
and sometimes, an airplane, and then again, most people they're building their airplane is their passion. They're not. Their goal is not just to get it done. They want it done just the way they want. Yeah. So you end up changing things, adding things, just like Robert earlier was talking about all the bells and whistles he's added to his airplanes. John's done also a number of neat things on his airplane. That's why, these are not Zeniths. These are John Humbert airplanes. These are Robert Nicholas airplanes. Every airplane is a reflection of the person who built that airplane, and which is why you'll see a lot of variations on all these airplanes. And they're all, in my mind, they're all wonderful variations because it's a person that did it the way they want it for their own use. And so, even if I may say, well, I would never do that, well, that's because it's not my airplane. I didn't do that. And everybody has, and that's what makes these airplanes so interesting and so neat. And that's also why, if you're looking on the used market, you have to be careful because every airplane is going to be very different. You're not buying, this Zenith or that Zenith. You're buying that person's interpretation, and there's wonderful interpretations out there. So they're really neat.
And that is one of the neatest things about your kits is that they can be so highly personalized as you go. So you're saying 350 for the metal work and stuff, and you got to figure on anything else. You double that for everything else. You're looking at maybe 700 hours to get it built your way. Did you keep track of your build time?
I did not. It was roughly 2 years, but a lot of mine was after dark. After family went to bed, I worked from midnight till 2-3 o'clock in the morning, as long as I could stand it. So I really didn't keep track of the time. I took pictures at the end of every day and documented pictures, but not times. So,
and that's the thing when you're measuring time. Is it productive time or time in the shop? And again, if you're doing what you want to be doing, it's no different than flying. You got a relatively slow airplane. Yeah, it's going to take you longer, but if you're having fun, you love longer cross-country flights because it's giving you more opportunity to enjoy yourself. If you get to your destination and then the fun stops, well, you want to leave again. You want to be up in the air. So
that's like this whole STOL demonstration. We want to fly. Put us out there so we can fly. Yeah.
Well, listen, we need to get going here. We've taken up enough of you guys' time. Please, you got something else to add?
if I have any followers that would like to see it, look me up, Super701 on Facebook. You can see some
okay.
of my 360 pictures and footage and that kind of stuff. So,
Mike is over there drooling. I gotta get a napkin and wipe Mike's chin off here. He's having too much fun.
I don't think you understand that the pictures from this 360 camera are taking pictures of the plane. Because it's 360, it's the whole thing. So he can swivel around and say, I want pictures of the trees over there. But when you look at him, it's like he had a radio control, a drone or something, flying next to the airplane taking photos is what it looks like.
Yeah.
They are amazing. I applaud you for being so inventive with that. It's great.
And that's actually on an extension pole out in front of the aircraft.
Yeah.
So
It's
great
amazing.
stuff. And again, it's one of you made it your airplane. This is your Zenith. This is not Sebastian's bird. This is your Zenith. And I applaud you for creating a platform for people to customize the way they want.
And that's an excellent way to phrase it, because the kit is really just a platform. It's a starting point for all these different creations. And again, each individual then completes the airplane and it becomes their airplane.
Well, great. Sebastian, brother, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to see you, man. We're going to get going here. John, right? John? Yes. Thank you very much, John. We appreciate your time. I'm going to get some information from you for the people that are selling this bird, so we can, in case anybody watches the video and wants to talk to them,
Absolutely.
we can help them out and get the bird sold so we can start building this next one and keep Mama happy. That's important. But I firmly believe that this is going to be our final live shot video from the 2019 DeLand Sport Aviation Showcase. So I'm going to take a minute and I am going to thank my partner in crime, my co-team leader, Mike Daniels. I want to thank Roy Brewer. I want to thank Tom Frick. I want to thank Carl Valeri. And of course, I got to thank the lovely and talented Elizabeth Daniels, our social media coordinator, who is going way above and beyond her social media coordinator paid position and getting this stuff out, and she's making us look good. Elizabeth, love you, sweetie. I hope to see you again soon. Jana Phillip, thank you to DeLand Airport, all the people at DeLand for making us welcome. But as far as Sport Aviation Showcase 19 and Showcase Live 19, this is a wrap. Folks, please jump on, like our Facebook page, follow our YouTube channel. We can only do it. We're out here for you, so you got to let us know what you want to see. You want to email me? My claim to fame is Sun and Fun Radio, so you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me at snfradio@gmail.com, snfradio@gmail.com. I'm Dave Shellbitter. I am a co-team leader of Showcase Live. And on that, we are done for the year. That is a wrap. Take care, everybody.